Hey everyone, I am your astrologer Wonder Girl, taking you to new heights. And today I'm going to talk about the solar eclipse in Capricorn, the new moon solar eclipse in Capricorn happening on January 5th, 2019 at 8:27 p.m. Eastern Time, which is also 5:27 p.m. Pacific Time, which is what I have my chart set to. What I'm going to talk about here is what this solar eclipse is all about. I think it's going to bring some really heavy commitments here to us building our life, putting our life in some kind of new or different direction that we've been working out for quite some time. Could feel a little bit heavy, could feel a little bit serious, but I think will pay off in the end if you do the hard work. My 2019 astrological calendar is now complete and ready for you all if you are interested in it, which can be found at the link down below in my description box. In that planner, I include descriptions of all the new and full moons of 2019, what they mean for you, so you can get a preview of what's going on this year and understand my take on those things. I also do include descriptions from my own opinion perspective about many of the major alignments of 2019, including ingresses when planets enter or leave a sign, as well as many of the retrograde periods. Not only do I write a few sentences, a few paragraphs about each of those things, but I also include discussion questions for self-reflection. If you would like to take some time to sit and think about these astrological alignments and how they apply to your life, and to be able to use the astrology in a more practical way to accomplish some of the things that are important to you. So if that is something that you are interested in, please, again, the link down below in my description box. Keep in mind that that link is for the PDF version if you want to receive the online copy. I am planning on printing the planner in a more physical version that you can hold. However, I'm going to have to do that through a separate website and a separate link, and right now I'm just waiting for the proofs of that so that I can make sure everything looks just right for you all for when I do get those on sale. If you're interested in how this solar eclipse and how the others that are going down this year are going to affect you personally, please sign up down below in my description box to get a reading with me where I can talk more in depth and more in detail about how this is going to play out for you personally and not just generally, okay? You can also meet with me in those readings. I can talk about your birth chart and whatever else is going on there and answer some other questions for you to help make sense of your life and give you more insight into your personality. So if you're interested in a reading with me, down below the description box. I'd love to talk to you. So let's dive in. What we've got going on, I always like to pinpoint it in the chart. New moon, solar eclipse, Capricorn. It's going to be right here, 15 degrees. How do I know it's going to be here? Because I see the sun and the moon both at 15 degrees together at the same spot in the chart. How do I know it's an eclipse? Because it's very, very close here to the nodal axis, okay, to where the south node is. And eclipses happen on the south node or the north node. Otherwise, it's just a new moon. But if you have a new moon near the nodal axis, the south or the north node, it all of a sudden becomes an eclipse, because the nodal axis is where the sun, the moon, and the earth align. Okay, and the further away the moon is, the new moon, the sun and the moon are from the nodal axis, the more partial it is. The closer the moon is to the nodal axis, the more total it is. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with. What are new moons? To me, solar eclipse is a super powered new moon. Okay, so it's a new moon on steroids. What is this new moon in Capricorn all about? New moons, beginnings, initiating, starting things. Capricorn, hard work. What else is Capricorn rule? A new beginning, that's going to require lots of hard work. Capricorn, to me, also rules your career, your reputation. If it's not super practical like that, it rules big stuff about your life, about the direction your life is going in a big kind of sense. So it's a new beginning in your life direction that may require lots of hard work in order for you to get to the place that it is that you ultimately want to be in. I think this new moon is going to require extra hard work because it is going to be very closely conjunct Saturn in Capricorn, 4 degrees away. Saturn is the natural ruler of Capricorn. So it's going to require a huge commitment, maybe even decisions whenever you get Saturn involved about your life and about where your life is going. Okay, you may have to make some cuts too, with Saturn here being so close to this solar eclipse, about what in your life you want to create, what in your life you can realistically create, and how it is that you're going to do that. So what may happen here, because this is a solar eclipse in Capricorn, you may have to cut out some of the fat in your life from the past, possibly too, that is not working, so that you can hone in on one or two things that are working. This is not a time about doing everything, about going everywhere, all over the place. You're going to have to make choices and decisions at this new moon about what direction your life is going in and how you're going to build on it. And it will require hard work. It may feel difficult. It may require you to sacrifice some emotional satisfaction in the moment in order to get there, but it will pay off, all right? Maybe that's what I'm going to say here about this new moon solar eclipse. What I'm going to do before I go any further is back up and give you a little bit more of the big picture, which I do like. The reason why I want to give you big pictures is because solar eclipses kind of imprint us for a while. New moons, I don't want to say they come and go, but new and full moons in a sense like kind of come and go. We feel them powerfully for a few weeks, a month or so, and another one comes along. But solar eclipses can stay with us for years. They can stay with us for months. Okay, especially 6 months until the next eclipse. So that's why I want to give you a broader picture. Okay, this solar eclipse in Capricorn is going to require us to choose a life direction and build on it over the course of the next year and a half of our lives, while the nodes and while Saturn's still in Capricorn. But the reason why we are we are taking on this heavy responsibility to put our life in some direction is so we can do here where the North Node is in Cancer, so that we can feel more comfortable emotionally with our life. We may not feel good about our life right now. We may not feel comfortable, safe, secure, emotionally protected, feeling good at this moment in time, but if you take on the responsibility, you will eventually feel it. That's where the trend is going. The trend of this eclipse and of this year is to say, look, I want you to feel warm. I want you to feel warm and fuzzies about your life, about who's in your life, who's not in your life, about what you're doing, about the life that you live. Warm and fuzzies coming your way. But before you can get to the warm and fuzzies, you got to do the work to get there. You got to do the work to get there. And I think that's what we're dealing with. What a lot of this has to do with now, I'm going to go backwards to the past. What a lot of this stuff that we are building and committing to now so that we can eventually feel warm and fuzzy, feel safe, feel secure, feel more grounded in our life. What we are building on has a lot to do with the last eclipse cycle that we were just in for the past year and a half. For the past year and a half, the eclipses were happening in the sign of Aquarius right here and in the sign of Leo. We've got Leo here, Aquarius here. Okay, and what we were having to work out when we were in Leo and Aquarius was what truly makes us happy, especially with the North Node being in Leo. And we may have had to sacrifice or readjust our vision of the future to be something totally different than what we thought it would be so that we could let more of our heart shine. Maybe if the nodes were reversed, maybe if the North Node was in Aquarius, would I say forget about what makes you happy, focus on the big picture. But because that was not the way the nodal axis was, the past year and a half was about forgetting what you thought your life was going to be like. Forget about what goal or dream you used to have for your life. None of that matters when the North Node is in Leo. All that matters is what does your heart say? And if your heart tells you to forget an old dream, to forget an old group of friends, even with Aquarius, to forget an old way you saw your life going because there's something else that you feel you're more passionate about, more called to, you had to do. And I think the past year with Jupiter being in the sign of Scorpio, it was saying, okay, you kind of know what makes you happy, but doesn't really make you happy. And are you willing to go in the direction of your true heart's desire to do what it is that you really want and feel deeply connected to? And now that we have done all of that soul searching to figure out what we want and what makes us happy and to readjust our vision of the future to be something different, which could have felt like a huge loss. To say, you know what, I wanted XYZ to happen in my life. I wanted my life to go in this direction. I wanted to be this person. And to realize that that's no longer going to work for you anymore. That could have been a huge loss. To say, a few years ago, I thought I was going to I thought I was going to be in journalism. To give some personal examples for me, a few years ago, I thought I was going to be a journalist. I have 2 degrees in journalism. I worked as a journalist in a lot of different companies for a while. A few years ago, that was like my thing. Like, I want to be a journalist. I want to write. I want to publish about real issues. And I realized that it just isn't going to happen for me. You know, maybe I wanted that, but maybe I wanted it for the wrong reasons, or maybe I wasn't really good at it, or maybe I can still publish a lot on important topics, but not in that way. And I think there could have been a huge loss that we could feel from having to change our vision of the future, but there's a lot of good things that can come from it too, because now we're getting more in tune with our soul, with our spirit, with our heart, with what we really want, and going in that direction, even if we had to forget some old things. And I think this solar eclipse now in Capricorn is saying, now that you more or less have figured out what your heart wants, what your heart desires, what you need to be happy, even if you had to forget an old idea of your life, it's time to build on that. It's time to create that. It's time to go in that direction. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of commitment. It's going to require you to make the hard decisions between good and better, between better and best. It's going to require you to cut some things out of your life that you thought you wanted in favor of other things, to prioritize a little bit more. But if you do that with the North Node in Cancer, you're going to feel so much better about your life. You're going to feel so much more stable, so much more secure, so much better, because you did the hard things now. You did the hard things now, and you did it based on a more accurate and a more clear vision of what you really wanted, instead of some fake dream, some fake goal, or some like disingenuine, some goal or dream that wasn't true to you. And now that you figured out what you really wanted, it's time to move forward on that, okay? So I think that is a lot of what's happening. The past few years was all about you figuring out what makes you happy, even if you had to readjust your vision of the future. And now we know what makes us happy, even if it was tumultuous and took a lot of soul searching for us to figure that out. And solar eclipse in Capricorn says, go time to build, time to make it happen. For that reason, I do believe there will be way more stability in this upcoming year in 2019 than there was in 2018. 2018 was very tumultuous with Jupiter in Scorpio, because it was requiring us to get very, very deep, especially with a bunch of planets being retrograde last year, especially with Venus and Mars being retrograde last year, which do not go retrograde every year, do not go retrograde around the same time, and will not be retrograde at all in 2019. And of course, Jupiter is not going to be in Scorpio anymore. It's going to be in Sagittarius, where it likes to be. So I do believe that last year was super tumultuous, super deep, soul searching, intense stuff with relationships, working things out with people, so that we could get to this point this year and say, I know what I want. I don't have to change my life anymore in the same way that I changed it, because I have a better idea of who I am. I have a better idea of what I want, and now I can commit to that. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy to do this thing that you've committed to. No, not at all. It's going to require work. It's going to require a lot of effort. But what it means is that you won't have the emotional baggage as much as you used to have it in the past, and things won't be up and down as much. You're going to have more of the green light to move forward in a more steady kind of way than we did last year, and to do that, okay? So I hope you all are seeing that. I get a lot of people that are like, oh, is next year going to be like last year? Because last year was crazy for me. It was hard. Is next year going to be like that? I say, next year's going to be a little bit hard, especially the first part of the year with the solar eclipse in Capricorn. It's going to require a lot of work, but it's going to be very different from last year. Last year was up and down. This year may be hard, but it's not going to be up and down. You're going to have more of a direction. Your efforts are going to be more streamlined. It's not about choosing what you do or don't want in your life. You should already know that. It's about building the thing that you want and making the tough decisions to narrow down what's really important to you and go towards that, okay? So I think that's the main message that I want to share with you. That another way that I think of this too, because once we make this commitment to moving forward and putting in the hard work, I did say we're going to start to feel better at the end of the year once we have the solar eclipse in July-ish in Cancer. And I almost, just to give you another metaphor of how this could work, I almost feel like this eclipse, the solar eclipse in Capricorn, we are like the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz. We are like the Tin Man who is looking for his heart. And I feel like what is going on at this year is that we're having to build the structures in our life, the shell of our life. We're having to put the pieces together, like if we were assembling a robot, or if we were assembling like something, you know, we're having to get the steel, we're having to get the iron, we're having to meld everything together. And then once we have this contraption that we're making, although hopefully it's a little bit more graceful than I'm making it seem, once we have the outline of this contraption, once we put the structures in place, then all of a sudden come the solar eclipse in July. It's like in Cancer, not in Capricorn, in the opposite sign, it's like our heart is going to be handed to us. So I want to stress, do the hard work now, because it's going to pay off later on, midway through the year, when you start to realize this is what I wanted all along. Now all of a sudden, now that I've done the work, now that I've put the structures back in place, the feeling, the emotion, I can start to connect to my life emotionally, spiritually better. And I think of the phrase, build it and they will come. That's not always true. I can, trust me, I've done many things with good intentions that haven't worked out. But I think this solar eclipse in Capricorn is saying, look, go through the motions. And I don't even know if going through the motions is the point, because Saturn and Pluto are going to come conjunct this year and turn your life upside down. So it's not about doing things you've always done, because that's going to change. Your life is not going to be the way it's always been. But I want to say, go through the motions. Continue on a path that you recently decided in the past few months was really meant for you. Continue in that direction, building it. And if you build it, even if you don't feel connected to it, even if you don't feel right now like you love it, like it means a lot to you, like super warm, if you just go there and do it, you're going to find it's what you always wanted. You're going to find it's always worked out. You're going to find it's what you need. You're going to find that your heart will be waiting for you a few months down the road once you do the things that you need in order to get there. So don't be afraid if things feel hard this year. Don't be afraid if you feel like you have to put a lot of effort in to get the results that you want to get, because you will get the results even if you don't get them right away. Okay? It's going to be okay. You're going to get it. It's going to be fine. And I don't really even think it's going to be that bad. Not even as bad as it was last year. I said this. Last year was up and down emotional stuff. You're not going to have any of that up and down emotional stuff this year. Your emotions are going to get better, especially with Jupiter here in a trine and a square with Neptune this whole next year. And near this solar eclipse, we're expanding. Spiritually and internally, there's like this sense of inner warmth that's starting to come back into our life. The light coming back, happiness, understanding about who we are, about our core, about our inner self. It is coming back to us. Our emotions are better. It's just that all of our emotions we may not fully feel complete and whole in our life quite yet. It's going to take more time, and it's okay. It's okay for you to not feel quite right as everything falls into place. All right? Anything else I want to say before I break down just a few more of the aspects that are going on? I did look up some of the inside degrees in the Sabian symbols. Yeah, this is one thing that the Sabian symbol said that I thought was interesting. You must nurture your dreams. I like that. I think the solar eclipse here that we had the past eclipse season in Leo and Aquarius gave us a new vision for our future, doing new things that we feel more happy about. And this Capricorn, this solar eclipse in Capricorn is saying you got to build on top of those things. You got to keep the new vision alive. You got to keep your heart alive, even if it's not there fully in the process, so that it can meet you at the end. I think I said a lot of things that I might see here. And maybe that's another thing I'll say. What happens this year too is going to set us up for the next 30 years of our life. Maybe even a little bit more than that. That's because Saturn doesn't return to this spot until 30 years from now. Every 30 years, Saturn comes back to Capricorn, and it's going to meet with Pluto here, and Saturn and Pluto meet about every 35 years. So the things that we do now especially because Saturn's at home in Capricorn, are going to last us a really long time. And I think needing to make sure that you take your time, even if it's hard, to build things in the right way, because if you're paying attention to what your heart and soul truly wants, and if you're being diligent about the work that you do and how you do it, you're going to be stuck with this thing for better or for worse, although I think for better, for the long haul, which for many of you, I do hope is a comforting word for you all to hear. There are many people I give readings to you that are just like, oh, I'm so tired of moving around. I'm so tired. Like, I just want to feel grounded in my life. And I'm saying it's coming. It's coming. You're going to start to feel more at home in your life. You're going to start to feel more secure. But these things don't happen overnight, and they don't happen by you just sitting there doing nothing. If you want to feel at home in your life, if you want to feel grounded in your life, you got to start putting in the work to build a life that you can feel at home in, instead of just sitting there and waiting for it to happen and come to you. You're not going to feel at home in your life until you make the work, do the work to build the things you need. All right. That's what I will say there. Aspects this solar eclipse is making. I talked about the solar eclipse itself, talked about Jupiter square Neptune. Maybe I'll go with the sextile this eclipse is making to Neptune. This is very positive. I'm telling you, if you can build something in your life, do the work, put in the effort to make your heart to do what you love to do and to put the structures in place, you're going to feel so much more at peace than you have last year. The work may still be hard, but you're going to be okay with the work because you now know what you want. What else is going on here at this new moon? We've also got Venus here making a trine to the North Node and a trine to Chiron, making this a grand water trine as well. There could be some things about relationships and money that are still hard. Maybe we're still making changes with relationships, still making changes with money. But I think if you change your relationships and your financial situation, even if it feels uncomfortable, it will help you with the North Node in Cancer eventually to feel better, to create the life that you want. The reason why changes with relationships and money are necessary is because you're now committing to putting your life in some different and new direction that you've never put your life in before. So you can't continue to put your life in some new direction doing relationships and money the same way that you've always done them. You have to do them differently. You have to make rearrangements. That could feel hard and uncomfortable, especially Venus doesn't like being in Scorpio. Who wants to mess with their money, spend things, it's hard. Who wants to upset the balance of situations that you currently have going for you? But this is saying, look, it's necessary to go where you want to go in life. You need different people. You need different resources. You need to rearrange your money and relationships to get you to the point you need to be. And if you do that, even if it feels uncomfortable, you're going to get there and it's going to feel good. Okay. The last thing I want to talk about that's going on here, this solar eclipse, Mercury in a square with Mars. Maybe this is probably one of the harder things that's happening too. This could be conversations, could be a challenge at this new moon. If it isn't conversations with other people, it's you. Your mind. Your mind is like your worst enemy almost at this new moon. I think what can happen with this alignment is either there are arguments, maybe it has to do with your relationships and money, maybe you disagree, someone disagrees with you over how to spend your money or what you're doing to support some new journey. Maybe it could be that, but it could also be you too, your mind getting the best of you. You constantly spinning your wheels. Am I doing this right? Is this what I should do? Should I do this? Should I not do this? How does this happen? How does this work? To me, Mercury in a square with Mars superpowers your mind, superpowers your thoughts, and makes your thoughts and your words come on strong, come on fast, come on aggressive. It makes you do things before you fully thought them out, almost. It's like you have a thought, and then all of a sudden you act, and it's like, okay, slow down, okay? Especially with the solar eclipse in Capricorn, this is not about who wins the race first. This isn't about, am I going to be the first one to do this thing that I'm doing? Am I going to be number one? The point of this solar eclipse in Capricorn, it says, look, do you want to be the first to win the race, or do you want to win the race right? Do you want to win the race healthy? Do you want to do this in a way that can last the test of time? So many people are just trying to get there first and to rush through things, that they're missing important steps, that they're doing things wrong, that by the time they do get to the finish line, things are missing, parts are missing, parts of their bodies breaking down. And this alignment is saying, don't get ahead of yourself. Don't. This is not about considering all your options. This isn't about doing things immediately. This is about the long-term game with Saturn. This is about thinking down the road. This is about slow and steady. And your mind could be your own worst enemy at this new moon. It's not about all the things you could do or can do or have done or will do. It's about what is practical for me right now and what will get me the best long-term results. And if you can focus on that, practical long-term results, slow and steady, and don't listen to all of these things people are telling you, all these things going on in your mind. If you can make the hard decisions to move forward at your own pace, in your own way, and to rearrange your relationships and money to get on board with this direction that you're going in, it will help. It will help. It's not all about considering options. It's about what is practical. Sure, some things may look nice, may look shiny, may be exciting to do, but will that shiny and exciting thing get you the results that you want? Be results oriented. Because if you do that, I'm telling you, this solar eclipse in Capricorn is a powerful time for you to rearrange, readjust your life. 2019, super powerful time for you to absolutely change your life, to make it different from anything it's ever been before, especially in the past 30, 35 years, and to set yourself up for success the best you can for the next 30, 35 years to come. And if you do the hard work now, and if you focus on what your heart wants and needs, and if you're coming from a super authentic, a heart and soul based approach, I think you're going to be very surprised in a very positive way about how much you can accomplish at this time, and about how meaningful this point in your life is really going to be for you, to set the tone for the next long time of your life and to really start to build and live off it. Telling you, powerful, especially when you get Pluto, Saturn, and the South Node, and it's in a cardinal sign. With these eclipses here, this is not a small time in our lives. This is a big time. We're rearranging it, making major decisions about our life that are going to stick with us for a while. And if you're dealing with integrity and if you're doing things right, it's going to start to pay off, even if you don't feel it pay off until the end of this year. Unfortunately, July, you might feel it start to pay off, and especially once we get to September, I think. So now your card for this solar eclipse. What have we got? Okay, maybe I'll do one more cut. Which one do I want? Oops. Okay, I'm gonna take this one. Okay, solar eclipse. What have we got? Ooh, cool, I like this one. Death, upright. I believe it. We got Saturn and Pluto here meeting this year with this eclipse right around this spot happening. I mean, the eclipse is pretty close to Pluto. I should have mentioned that. This is major change coming in our lives, without a doubt. Endings in our life that have been long overdue, so that new beginnings can happen, new situations, so that we can start new cycles in our life. And this is the beginning. We are at the bottom of the mountain, our mountain, the right mountain, with a long journey before us. But the journey that we're about to go on, even if it's going to take work, even if it's different than anything we've ever done, is going to be so fulfilling to us, because it's going to create a new life, a new cycle of situations in our life that are going to be so meaningful to us, that we're going to feel so connected to. And you cannot be afraid at this solar eclipse to let go of the things that are no longer serving you. You may be, oh, but I'm emotionally attached and sentimental about some old thing that I've done. I don't want to let go of this old thing. Too bad. To this solar eclipse in Capricorn. Too bad. I mean, you got to give yourself the tough love at this time and for at least the next 6 months, and be like, you know what? Maybe you wanted this thing to happen in your life, but it's not happening. Too bad. It's got to die, the death card. It's got to end, the death card, so that you can experience a rebirth and create a new life that's going to last you for the next 30 years, that you really like, that's going to be with you here, and that I think if you do it right, if you take it slow, is going to bring way more success and fulfillment to you than you maybe even think is possible right now at this moment in time. So that is your forecast for the solar eclipse in Capricorn. I hope that was useful to you. If you like it, please like it on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and I will talk to you later.